Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into the Supreme System Lord Ra after the Rebellion. But before we begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. Word of this revolt somehow left the planet and made its way to the gold breeding ground on Dendera, most likely through a System Lord working against Ra, where the Gold Queen, Merasis, ruled in Ra's stead. The humans living there had long embraced the thoughts of a rebellion, and so word of Earth's triumph sparked them into action. And soon Ra and Merasis' forces were overthrown, and the native Denderans purged the tomb of Ra of any gold influence, treating it as a holy place for their rebellion. Because of Earth and Dendera's rebellion against him, Ra outlawed writing on all of his worlds and caused them to come to a technological standstill. On planets which were rich in naquita, trinium, or other materials which he needed, Ra forced his subjects into slavery and mined the planets for everything they were worth. On some worlds, such as Abydos, he used only a handful of Jaffa and scare tactics to keep the local population in check, while on other, more densely populated worlds, he employed his massive armies as shock troops as well as intrusive police forces. Despite this, Ra was known to richly reward those who served him well, and commonly showered them with wealth and honors. However, anyone who went against him were treated with torture and death, as well as being forced to serve under him unconditionally. On most of his worlds, Ra's people would congregate in small cities, where they would be allowed a degree of autonomy provided they did not rebel against him, and as long as they continued to work in the mines to pay their tribute. Ra was known to have a select group of allies who he could trust to side with him in times of crisis, including his Queen Hathor and his son Harrower, who worked as his agent for several millennia while secretly plotting to overthrow him. In an unknown date after the loss of Earth, Ra created the Trial of Ra, a contest where those who sought to become particularly high-ranking servants of Ra competed in various trials across different planets. It proved to be a highly deadly test, but some overcame it. Having witnessed the stagnation of the gold for several millennia, as well as Ra's singular desire to wipe out the Asgard, the Queen Egeria spawned a legion of symbiotes in 1002 BC, which opposed the ways of Ra in order to change the balance of power. To add insult to injury, she even named her children the Tok'ra, literally meaning against Ra, and began her rebellion against the other GOA'ULD. Ra's Queen Hathor, one of the last GOA'ULD who remained on Earth after the Stargate was buried, was later imprisoned in her tomb in 132 BC for all eternity. Luckily for her, the tomb had a sarcophagus which kept her alive for thousands of years before she was freed by a team of archaeologists. Hundreds of years later, in 37 BC, the GOA'ULD lost two key worlds as well as several other vital installations. Suspecting at first the Asgard, Ra later discovered that it had in fact been a traitor in his midst, and so convened a meeting with the System Lords to deal with the situation. It was at this meeting that Egeria finally revealed her act of betrayal, and so she was sentenced to eternal damnation inside a stasis jar in Pangar, though she too was found thousands of years later and also freed. Because of this, Ra and the other GOA'ULD outlined several new measures to keep the control of both GOA'ULD queens and naquita in check. Because of all these happenings during the course of Ra's rule, the System Lords under him once again went back to quarreling amongst themselves, threatening to undo all that Ra had worked towards when he tried to unify his race. Similarly, Ra singled out any of his enemies who had sided with Anubis in his last attempt at power and expelled them from all ranks of the System Lords, bringing about the end of the second GOA'ULD dynasty. Ra soon began to impose his will on the GOA'ULD once more, attempting to regain power he once had over 10,000 years ago and creating a new group of System Lords, this time incorporating Apophis, Baal, Bastet, Cronus, Morrigan, Olokun, and Yu, among others. The GOA'ULD once again went back to fighting the Asgard, and for the first time started to make progress against their more advanced foe. Discovering that the Asgard had other allies, but they somehow disappeared, they kept pushing the battles on even after hearing of another threat which had emerged. It was in 257 AD, after yet another setback, that Ra once again instigated a new set of principles, this time demanding that the other GOA'ULD acquiesce in laying out formal terms for the appropriation of GOA'ULD larvae, Jaffa, and the division of naquita. Due to the renewed threat of the Asgard, The other symbiotes accepted the terms, and for a time learned to work together for the greater goal. Sometime before Teal'c became first prime of Apophis, Ra was at war with Apophis. They were battling over a planet, and Ra appeared to be winning the battle, but Apophis soon got the upper hand and decimated Ra's forces. For winning the battle, Gregtech offered Teal'c to become his successor. The major loss may have led to Ra's downfall. Ra's reliance on the humans always puzzled the other system lords, as he used them not only as servants and slaves and religious leaders, but also as warriors and even bodyguards. By 1995, Ra's first prime was Anubis, a human who had been raised by the people of Abydos and turned into a vicious leader. He was often known to handpick human warriors from the ranks of his armies, beings who other system lords would treat as cannon fodder, and promote them to be senior officers in his military. So what did you guys think of the Supreme System Lord Ra after the rebellion? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member or sending a super thanks if you wish to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.